How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So we're going to be diving in to my operational plate carrier. I'm going to explain everything on it, kind of why it's placed there, how it's placed there, and how it is evolved. I typically do this once a year, mainly as a reference for me, so I can actually go back in prior videos and see what I was using at certain points in time in my career to see what was working. Because after you do this so many times, you start to forget configurations. The intent of this is just to show ultimately like a reference point, as in like, hey, don't copy me, but this is just an example of how I set up my carrier for my mission. You got to realize that too. Some people are going to say, I would never do that. That's probably valid. You probably never would do this because you're not in the same mission suit or mission aspect as me. So I have to tailor things to be applicable to my mission suit, and yours may be completely different, right? So affiliates, I get paid by nobody. You can literally buy anything on here. I'm not going to get paid. This is just literally a reference of what I've been using. So overall, I've been using this type of carrier setup or close to it for several years. I've been using plate carriers for almost 15 years in general, and then other stuff like LBE. So I have a good understanding of why I place things on here and why they are. So overall, the carrier, starting out, this is an Agilite KZero plate carrier. This is what I've eventually merged to and have settled with over multiple different carriers over my career, at least 10. Now there might be a better one that comes along and I might swap out with that, but right now this one is my particular, I guess you could say, favorite in this mission suit. Now I'm going to give you some of the details on it. Why do I view that? Let me take this off again. A lot of my coworkers run the K19, the Agilite K19. I just do not prefer that. It's a good carrier. I've used it. It's just for my body type. I'm a skinny, tall guy, and I can't wear hardcore large plates. I mean, I can. It's just a hassle. So I go to a medium set. And the problem is on the K19, the straps here, they come straight down into the carrier. I have narrow shoulders and I like open pockets for my rifle stock. When I'm, pulling up my rifle and I'm engaging using the weapon system, I like having open pocket space here on my shoulders. The KZero here has this V-word approach to it that brings the shoulder straps closer into, your collarbones, like further in on that aspect, leaving these pockets open. Also, another awesome design feature, which I prefer, is the shoulder straps come over the plate bag, as you see here. They don't connect strictly into the rear. These come over the top and press the plate into your chest a little bit, right? So you don't have that sagging effect or that large, heavy weight, because these are level 4 plates. They're heavy, they push forward, they want to go away from your body. This counteracts them and pulls them into you. So much of a game changer compared to other carriers out there that connect straight in or they connect into the rear. Just my opinion, that is what I prefer. This is a heavier or a warmer plate carrier. There's a lot of mesh, which we'll get inside once we start moving around on it. It does retain heat more than usual. So there is that. If you're in a super hot climate, which I have been in the past couple months, it's kind of a bummer, but I have a couple ways to circumvent that too, which we'll dive into. All right, so that's the plate carrier itself. I'll talk about the cummerbund and the detachment points and stuff like that here in a second. I'm going to stick to the front. So we're going to go from the top to the bottom real quick. Okay, so up front here, you see this is fairly slick. I typically run a name tape up here if I don't have an ATAC system. As you can see, these pieces or the molly is really blown out. And that's pretty much, I always run an ATAC system. Now, they've gotten more strict recently, and we actually have to turn in our ATAC systems into our, commo room in a way, instead of having them with us. I used to bring it home with me. No longer do they allow that, but that's why. So my ATAC system typically rides up here, which again is why I like this HRT placard, which we're going to get into. This is the Maximus. It hangs a little bit lower so I can get to my magazines. Granted, right now they're fairly close because they're at a weird angle on the table. You got to think this is hanging off my body. So the ATAC is able to drop down and I can use it effectively right there, ready to go. 3 magazines, of course, up front. We're required to carry 4 magazines at this point in time, but this carrier allows me to plus up, which we will get into the wings and stuff like that here coming up. So some of you kind of wondering like, hey, what the heck is this? Why do you put that there? Well, in case I do not have an ATAC system, which is kind of rare, I just kind of put this together. I can put my phone in here. It's funny enough, I just leave it there. It's easier to access rather than going in my pockets, because my pockets are kind of like off limits, I guess you could say, when I'm wearing a belt or a carrier, it hangs and stuff like that. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. Not very often. Sometimes I'll get footage of certain training events and whatnot like that if I'm not running an ATAC, but I just kind of rigged up this little shock cord thing there just to provide some footage for all of you to enjoy once in a while. Moving down from that, so like I said, this is the HRT Maximus placard. I typically run my M18 magazine, my spare, over here on the left-hand side. The short magazine, I always carry the long magazine in my M18 because realistically, who wants to reload in the middle of a gunfight? I want the most amount of bullets I can. Your preference may be different. Maybe you put the long mag over here. Cool, just keep doing you. Over here, I have a flashlight, right? Easily accessible for the most part. I can access it from my left hand if necessary. It's just easy to get right there rather than on my side, because if I keep it on my left, then it's more difficult to reach across my body if I need it with my right hand, or the opposite in that regard. So, moving down inside this Maximus placard, there's actually not a lot on this side. I really like how these, the Maximus admin pouches like open up, mainly because you can get to things. I rarely open them up that far. What I typically do is unzip them like this, go ahead and grab what I need, and then I zip it right back up. So everything's top loading. So even if you're running, they're not gonna like fall out the front and yard sale all over the place. But if necessary, I can get down in there. So Right in the Rain notebook is always on me. It's always references. I can reference it because I have material inside, or I can write things down, of course. 3 writing utensils, pen, viz, and a pencil. If you don't know about the pencil, it's a big help regarding, taking notes and things like that. Latex gloves, right? I always carry a few packs on me just because I end up searching or using something and I don't want to put full hands on. Yes, I have normal gloves. These are PIG, the FDT kind, but certain circumstances require different types of gloves that, I'm concerned about, maybe materials or powders or something that I may be touching and I don't want to come in contact with. The left side, this one's more, kind of packed out. I actually have this just ops core, whatever cloth, I guess. I can't think of the name right now. It's meant for your sunglasses, night vision, your optics, stuff like that. I always use it just because I'm in a hot climate and humidity right now is killer. So this just kind of rides in there along with a pen. This is kind of goofy, but I like it because I can actually wipe off my lenses a lot in a dusty environment, a humid, like kind of dusty. It just depends. Like in the mornings and it heats up, and yeah, it just helps with your optics a lot. Double A's in here. I have extra double A's and then extra CR123s pretty much for all of my electronic gear. I do have some Ear Pro down here in the bottom that I'll pull out as well. Seaburn extension strap, right? This is for your helmet. So when you put on a gas mask, it extends this out a little bit longer so you can actually wear your gas mask and your helmet and your nods all together without having any issues. Down here on the other side, there's a little bit of COP. I rarely use it. I find myself helping others with their rifle and pistol for COP. Well, I take that back. The M18 actually hates sand, and I continuously lube that thing up just because of its performance in sand regarding that. Another placard that I will show that I do use is the Agilite pincer placard. I swap these out quite a bit. They both have upsides and downsides, and I find myself using both in different circumstances. If I'm doing a specific mission suit, I may actually change these out depending on the type. It works out pretty well. They're both really great. Again, HRT and Agilite, I don't get any money from them. I just like their products, and yeah, that's how it is. Over here, there's two chem sticks hiding down the sides. I typically keep these in here just for, of course, marking things. So I come upon something, I can crack this thing, throw it out, and then I can, you know, pull back and get away from that site or that location or that item. And then I can say, hey, the red chem stick marks or something 20 feet in front of that, or it's on top of it, whatever it may be. It's a little bit easier to use that. All right, so moving down further, let's run this thing a little bit flatter. It's kind of annoying to move it around. This is the Faro Concepts mini dangler down here, and this thing is packed with a full, pretty much trauma kit IFAK, I guess you could say. Funny enough, up front here, immediately in the front, I always put Band-Aids because it's crazy how many smaller cuts will occur, and it's mainly for other folks. I rarely use these, but you wouldn't believe how many of my troops are like, hey, I cut my finger, do you have a Band-Aid? I don't want to dive in solidly into the, you know, IFAK for just Band-Aids, and I think that's a bit ridiculous. More gloves up here. They're loose. They're just kind of hanging out. I always tuck them off to the side, right, just so I can get to them as long with these. Maybe one of my other coworkers, hey, I need gloves. Cool, I just grab them really quick, hand them off depending on what's going on. I vacuum sealed my entire kit down here. This is a full kit. I have a whole video just on this kit as well. I'll link it or throw it up in a card up in the section if you want to see what's in this. Fairly easy to get to. It has tear strips on it, so literally I can pull it out and they're like grippy. It's interesting. So even if you're like soaking wet with blood, you can still tear this and open it up. It just makes for longevity of your stuff a little bit longer and whatnot. More gloves. These are just kind of in there. Duct tape. Freehand. I use this stuff a lot, especially in the medical realm. Here is a Can of Provisions water decon kit. Just pretty much always on my kit no matter what. World Pack bags. A blister kit is in here, small from My Medic. Really small blister kit, right? If I'm hiking for a while, at least I know it is on me. And a small Band-Aid kit again in the back because you wouldn't believe how many people ask me for things, and it's very frustrating. And you want to take care of your troops, but sometimes you got to let them suffer to figure it out. And then even then, they don't figure it out too sometimes. So yeah. All right, so let's pack this back in just really quick. Really easy to do. Trauma shears, of course, are up there. Just being able to get access into specifically something if necessary. It packs away fairly nice. Sure, I'm kind of struggling with it, but again, I'm upside down and I'm filming for all of you. Typically left or right, so I can just unzip it. Cat tourniquet on the bottom. This is easily accessible with my left hand, right? I can pull it out here, or right hand. There is a Ranger band around it to kind of keep it set. I find they sometimes fall out on me if I'm like laying on the ground. So I put this here just to add extra retention to it. And it works out great. And I can just rip this. If you just pull this thing out, the Ranger band is just going to snap and you just get a new one. No big deal. So moving further down, this one is going to be a little bit harder to show, but this is a Roll 1 trauma kit from Faro Concepts, if I recall. I might be wrong. I've kept this thing on my carrier for years, and mainly it has been for a water bottle or a hydration source. Recently, I'm starting to use the Core Performance bottles. These are like 16 ounces bottles with the holster system, pretty cool. I keep one up front. The trauma kit itself, you take the innards, you know how you pull it out like the trauma kit itself. Well, this sleeve allows you to put things inside of it. This is 16 ounces. You can freeze this. This is actually pretty cool. It's built off the 152, the Harris Radio style. So this will run with any 152 style battery, or not battery, but case or pouch, which you'll see here. So it rides literally perfectly in there and is up against my body if it's frozen. So it's cooling you as well. Easy to get to. It has elastic bands. It doesn't fall out on each side because you can cinch, you know, the sides down like this. You can cinch them down, and now this bottle is like encapsulated inside. It's this little space. If you ever notice, if you run carriers, there's a little empty space in here between your plate and then whatever your placard is. This is exploiting that space. And typically, I never used to carry water on me that much. I did, and it was just awkward, and I put it in a dump pouch or something. this allows me to really put it back there. You can use a smart water bottle. That's what I did for years, or a Life water bottle. The smaller ones will slip in there just as well. But this, I find, since it's concave through here, it actually holds up against your body much better. So I find myself using these quite a bit, and they have a pull string. I'll probably do a dedicated video on these here in the future, but really cool. I've been using the Core Performance. I think this is the flask. They call them their ice flask. This is made in the United States, actually, too. So it's a USA-made product, which is and manufactured, which is really cool in my opinion. Yeah. Okay. So let's move over to the right-hand side. That was the center. We're going to move over to the right. Now, this is just a pistol pouch, but I've put a tourniquet in here just real quick, right? It's red. It's marked red for that purpose. It works out fairly well. Again, on the inside, this is a, well, I'll talk about the cummerbund right now real quick. So this is a warfighter cummerbund with the spear tubes. Amazing cummerbund, in my opinion. Amazing. It works so well, in my opinion, just because it has Tigris inside of it, and it won't flex. You can load this thing up with weight, and you won't get that sag. The benefit is, as Molly on the exterior and the interior, so you can stack things on the inside if necessary. As of here, right, my asp, I carry it over here too. I just need somewhere for it to go. Here is the holster for the ice flask. I've been testing it out. I'll have a whole dedicated video on this. So you can carry two 16-ounce reservoirs on you. It's meant to go, like, you can push it up inside, which is pretty cool. Let me turn it around here. So you're meant to go off on the right side, and then you can, you know, index it, which is really hard right now because I'm not wearing the carrier itself, but you can push. Okay, we're not going to do that because I almost flipped over the table trying to get it in just because it's an awkward angle. But just take my word for it. These slip inside here. It's a nice little holster. It works out pretty well. Still on the fence about it, but I'm still testing it. We'll see how it works out in the future. Next, down here on the inside, I'm actually going to open this up for all y'all. I put these blue Force gear or blue Alpha gear. I forget. I always forget the name of them. But they have these synthetic or elastic magazine holders, right? And you can put other stuff in here if you want. That's the benefit of this. So I just pretty much line the inside for extra stuff in case I need them. Now you can put extra magazines in here as well, so you can plus up on magazines if you really need to. I typically don't do that, but again, if necessary, I know that I can. Spear tubes, awesome, massive improvement in my opinion over a Velcro, just my opinion. I'll get to the back later. Back's really nothing really going on there. Again, gloves, you already saw that. Spear tubes on the side yet again. I do both sides pretty nice. Let's open this one up as well. So the next thing here is a Spiritus. I forget what this thing is called, but it's meant for a 152 Harris. And I find myself, if I put the 152 over here where my Motorola goes, depending if I'm using a Motorola or I'm using a 152, depends. It's kind of annoying, so I like it on the inside. You can also double up and put these, again, these Core Performance bottles. Let's see if I can actually get it with the bungee. In here, right, that rides in there. It's about the same size as a 152, so it rides on the inside, which is pretty cool, which is also getting you cooling as well. So I have provisions up to 3 of these if necessary. But my 152, if I'm running, depending on the mission suit, that's where it will go. On the inside as well, here's a triple mag placard of the Blue Force gear, Blue Alpha gear. I think they're Blue Force gear. 10-speed pouches is what they are now that I remember it. I put 2 sets of cuffs in here. We're required to have restraining tools. Sometimes I go with zip ties. I've gone with zip ties a lot in the past, but I find myself cuffing a lot more people recently. So I typically use that. I use the link bars. I prefer this, but then the other one in here is a traditional style handcuff, just because larger folks or whatnot, I can link these together. And if you're going to carry a set of handcuffs for your job, in my opinion, just carry 2, because there's always going to be someone else. Like if you pull over a vehicle and you got to detain them for officer safety or something like that, there's a little sketchy going on. Hey, detain him and detain him. That's use of force stuff. I guess that's department based, but just my opinion. If you're going to carry 1, carry 2. Moving on to the other side over here. Here's a flatline Fiberco dump pouch. This thing comes in handy a lot, and this is mounted under the Motorola pouch, or the 152 pouch is what I have here. It can accommodate for a 152 radio if necessary. I just tend not to. I have in the past in different training scenarios. It just doesn't work out sometimes. I mean, it's just a preference thing. Does it work? Sure. I just like to be more specific with it. But this is so nice is because you can roll this out. This thing opens up. It's on my left side because I'm a right-handed shooter with my pistol. It doesn't intervene in anything. And I can just put things in here. Thermal, binoculars, extra maps, you know, smoke grenades, whatever I need, I can kind of just stuff in this pouch and as a plus up if necessary, or even snacks and food if necessary in that. I put trail mix in here, so on your ruck and stuff, I just reach down, grab it, and send it, you know. It works out pretty well. Your mileage may vary. Next, here's a Spiritus, I think Mutant. I forget what this thing is called. I always forget. It's hilarious. But this is a Spiritus system pouch. On the fence of keeping this thing on here. It works out fairly well. I have a VS17 panel in here, and this is also meant for like other smaller items in here as well, just to place if in case I need them. I carry a stripped down VS17 panel, right, one that I kind of made up myself, just because the real VS17 panel, or the ones that we get issued, are stupid huge and annoying. I don't want to carry this entire thing on me, so I kind of modified a VS17 panel, and way lighter, and it's a lot better. All right, moving around to the very back, and we're almost done here, realistically. Let's flip it over to the back. Blue Force Gear 10-speed pouch, dump pouch back here as well. Same thing, it's just to put stuff. It's so light and small, I can just put it back here on my back left side, and I pretty much never use this. I have used it maybe once or twice for extra items. Again, you're always told here, carry these extra items and whatnot, no matter what it is. No matter how high ranking you get, you always find yourself needing more items. They're different items, but you end up needing them. So that is, from what I can see, the full rundown right now. Let's flip it back over so you can get a good picture of it. Right, again, the spear tubes is a game changer in my opinion. I do highly recommend the spear tubes. They work quite a bit. So I think I may have forgot some things. I don't recall if I have. I mean, leave me comments if you see something and you have questions. Leave it down in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to you on what certain items are if I didn't go over them. But yeah, this is the plate carrier, how it stands right now for my mission suit, that kind of stuff. If you're interested in some of these pouches, I'll do my best to link some of them, right? You have the real pouches and you have the Amazon knockoff. There's a whole video on that. Do I recommend the Amazon stuff? Do I recommend the real stuff? It depends on what you're doing. Operationally, go for the real stuff. If you're just, you know, having fun, airsofting, you know, just in general, your life isn't depending on these things, then yeah, you could probably get away with some of the knockoff stuff if you really want to. But as far as I'm aware, everything on here is genuine of that product. Nothing here is a knockoff. So yeah, if you guys like this kind of stuff, want to see more, definitely like, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. I might go do my third line gear too again. Debatable. It's a lot of stuff to go into. But anyways, if you like this stuff, like, subscribe, greatly appreciate it. I'll leave some links in the description box below. Don't copy this. That's not the intent. It's just to show an example of how one guy literally in the military is setting up his gear. And there's literally, you know, hundreds of thousands of us. So take it as a grain of salt. Hope y'all have a great day.